We're coming at you guys with a wrench session today. We are going to the Epic Fall Brawl at the end of the week this week. And so since it's a bigger race and kind of a wrap-up race for the East Coast over here, we're doing some prep to get the nitro buggy ready. So we're just giving you guys an inside look at what that prep looks like. The first things that I'm doing is I've got my car tore apart and cleaned the front and rear end. And now that I've got the diffs out of the car, I'm going to rebuild the diffs. So I've got the front and the rear diff out right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is take these both all apart, take everything out, and make sure that the inside is clean. So in the front diff, I'm going to keep the same oils that I had in there. We did some testing for the warm-up and my car felt pretty good. We stayed there on Sunday after the warm-up, even though the warm-up got rained out. And the track was in really good condition. The rain didn't wash it out completely for Sunday. And Brent did an amazing job at rolling in the track so that we could practice. So shout out to Brent for doing that for us. And so because my car felt good, I'm going to start with the same oils. Just kind of looking at the weather too. It was similar weather. It's going to be in the 60s this weekend. Possibly the 70s by main day. And so we've got pretty good weather. And so my oils, I'm using the Ultimate Racing oils to put in my diff. I'm using 7 in the front and I'm using 3 in the rear. And so I haven't got my center diff out, but I will probably put 7 in the front. I always take a Sharpie and mark what weight I put in the diff so that I know what's in there when I take it out. And so you can see I had 7 marked on there from when I built it last. And so no changes there. We're just going to get some fresh oil. And so now what I'll do, now that I have everything apart on the diff, is I'll just clean everything up. You can see it's pretty dirty right now. I'll clean everything up. I'll make sure that my bearings are good, and then I'll go ahead and start to put it back together with some fresh oil. This one is the front, so I'm using 7. All right, we've got some much cleaner diffs now. So to finish this process, we're gonna put the diff back together and put the new fluid in the diff. All right, so I like to check and make sure that the diff is tight, but not too tight, that it's squeezing these gears together, because you do want it to turn pretty good. Obviously it's a diff, that's how it works. But I am now finished with the front diff. You can see that I marked that I put 7 in it and that this is the front one, so that when I take it out and rebuild it again, I can see what oil I had in it originally. And so now we are just going to repeat that same exact process all over again with this rear diff. We are just going to put 3,000 in the rear instead of 7,000, and we'll finish the same process. All right, so front and rear diffs are done. We've got the 7 in the front, fresh rebuilt diff, 3 in the rear. And now the last diff that we're building is the center, which is pretty much the same exact process. You can see kind of that silver Sharpie that the last time I rebuilt this diff, I put 5 in it. Like I said, the car felt really good, so I'm going to keep the same oils to start with. So I'm just going to take the diff apart, clean everything, and replace the dirty oil with 5 weight. Still using Ultimate 5,000 for the diff oil in the center, just using 5 instead of 7 or 3. And then the other difference with the center diff is that when the center diff comes out of the car, it has brake discs that go on either side of it. So before I put the diff back together and actually put it in the car, I'm going to take some brake cleaner and clean the brake discs off for both brake discs before I put it back in the car, just to give those a clean. And then for the most part, it's pretty much just going to be the same diff rebuild. It's just the center diff instead of the front or rear. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our prep for tonight. We've got all 3 diffs built, and I will put those in the car tomorrow. We've got one more night of prep because we will be choosing to do the Friday practice, so we are not leaving for Fall Brawl until after work on Thursday. So I have one more night Wednesday to prep for Fall Brawl. The diffs will go in the car tomorrow. You can see I've got some of the other diff stuff laid out. I mentioned that I was going to clean the brake disc before I put this center diff back in the car. And then some other things that we'll look to do tomorrow for prep is just basic prep stuff, like changing my air filter, putting a brand new air filter on for the race, and also changing out my clutch bell bearings from our last race, Sumter RC Toys for Tots race. And then I will also do something with these shocks. I tend to like to build shocks at the track at the race so that I can check out temperature and track conditions. But you can see these are really dirty. So at minimum, they need cleaned. They might get a rebuild tomorrow too. And then everything will go back on the car. You can see a lot of it is in pieces right now. So now that we've got everything having a fresh build, we'll put it all back on the car, and that'll be the last thing that we do to prep for Fall Brawl. The e-buggy and truggy are already ready to go. We prepped those last week. You use the comment and tell us what you want to hear more of. We'll try to release another prep video tomorrow night since I've got some more prep that I need to do to finish up. So just leave us a comment. We'll make sure to address it tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you subscribing, and we'll catch you all on the next one.